Okay, good evening to all of you. Today we are going to discuss about capacitors. This is one of the linear elements of electrical science. Till now we have read about resistors. I have done a little bit of analysis on resistors. Today we'll start with capacitor. Okay. So now what is a capacitor? Is actually a device which can store electrical charge. Okay. It is made up of two conductive plates which is separated by a dielectric. Okay, when I say dielectric, it means it's an insulator. Okay, the capacitance, the capacitors are usually the capacity to store charge is defined by a parameter known as capacitance C, which is given by the equation Q divided by V. Okay, Q is the net charge which gets stored on those parallel plates, and V is the applied voltage. Okay, so when we apply a voltage V, a certain amount of charge gets accumulated on these plates. Okay, wherever we apply positive volt, on that plate you have all the positive ions getting deposited, and on the negative side the corresponding equal number of negative ions will get deposited. So they will become like an storage of charge. Okay, so if you see the capacitance is defined by Q by V. That means if I have a large capacitor, then for a same potential applied, okay, I'll have more number of charges getting accumulated. That means the capacity to hold charge will be higher. So that is why this is defined in this ratio Q by V. Okay, so the capacitance unit would be in farad, and Q is the charge and V is the voltage which is being applied. So and generally the capacitors can be separated by air or any dielectric. Okay, it would be paper, oil, and things like that. Okay, so is it understood what a capacitor is? Capacitor is
Yes,
basically
yes.
is a charge storing device. Okay, so unlike a resistor, there is no dissipation of energy inside the capacitance. It only stores energy, and when required it gives back energy to the circuit. Okay. So there are several types of capacitors available in the market. The top left is known as electrolyte capacitors, in which there will be plates, and the dielectric is a semi liquid paste kind of thing. Okay, they are generally no, they are polarized. Polarized means the terminals they are defined positive and negative. You cannot connect it the other way around in the circuit. Okay, you are using for a rectification purpose or something like that, then the positive terminal you need to give the positive voltage, and on the negative terminal you need to give negative voltage, then only these would hold charges. So these capacitors, they come in for huge capacitances. That means in microfarads, 1000 microfarads, 2000 microfarads, or 4000 microfarads, so 6000 microfarads. So you will get big capacitors of higher capacity, electrolyte capacitors. Then the second kind of capacitors which are available is film capacitors. They are of not the capacity is slightly lesser than electrolytic capacitors. Okay, they look like this. And then the third one is ceramic capacitors. They're extremely small in size, whereas they are used for generally for very nano and pico farad capacitance values. But nowadays what is happening is with technology being with developed technology, we are able to, even in ceramic capacitors, we have multi-layer capacitors in which many capacitors are put in parallel. Within this you have one metal layer, then an insulator, one more metal layer, like that. So you have a parallel set of capacitors here which are connected in parallel, which gives an effective large capacitance up to the value of 100 microfarad is also possible. So initially in olden days we just had ceramic capacitors of pico or maximum up to nano, but now even 100 micro ceramic capacitors are available. Now these film capacitors and ceramic capacitors, you can connect it either way in the circuit without bothering about the positive and negative terminals, whereas electrolytic capacitors you have to be careful with what you are connecting. Okay, now what happens when we connect a capacitor to an ideal voltage source? Okay, The moment we switch it on into the circuit, whatever is the voltage available in an ideal current source, and that will be made available onto the capacitor, and the capacitor will instantly charge to that voltage, and the charge accumulated on that capacitor will be Q, which will be given by the equation C into V, right? So if you see, there will be time, if you see in the time, and this is the current, initially there will be huge current, and then eventually the current will come to 0, because once this capacitor gets charged to value V, so both these voltages, they oppose each other, and there will be no current flow. In time, although it is shown in an expanded manner here in the y axis, if you are going to connect an ideal source, so instantly itself, within no seconds, this capacitor is going to get charged to V, and the capacitor and the required charge will be accumulated onto this capacitor. Okay, so the area under this curve, if you see, this is current and this is time. So if you have this area under, that will be the charge stored, which is under this charge stored on this capacitor. Okay. If I see, but ideally we don't have an practically we won't have an ideal current source. There will always be an resistance. It could be a resistance in the circuit, or at least there will be some source resistance. Okay, any source which we are going to connect, and that will always be there in series. So this is the practically in all circuits, this is the kind of scenario which will be there. When you are connecting a capacitor to an voltage source, there will always be a resistance. Okay, the previous one was a pure ideal case, which will never happen. Okay, so now we are going to switch on this. So what happens? So if we write an KVL across in this loop, this is the voltage V which is applied. I into R is the voltage which is across this resistance, minus a voltage of an capacitor is given by Q into C, that we can equate to 0. Now if you see, if I differentiate this, okay, dq by dt, and I have taken this negative part onto the left hand side, and V by R minus Q by C. I am just differentiating the entire thing out here. Okay, and then if you see, why I am doing that, because dq by dt will be the current. Okay, so to express this in terms of current, we are doing this manipulation. Now if you see q minus c minus dt by rc, so this is just algebraic manipulation, and then we integrate it from 0 to q, because we want to find out at any given instance now what will be the charge. So we are integrating 0 to q here, and 0 to t here, right? Both sides we are integrating this, and then once we integrate, we get a log value. So initially it is 0, so in the denominator you have minus CV by putting these limits. Okay, here we are going to put the value of Q out here, so T by RC. Okay, so now if you write the value of Q, you get CV into 1 minus e to the power of minus T by RC. Now if you differentiate it with respect to T, you get the current value. So I is equal to V by R e to the power of minus T by RC. Okay, so now if I can represent V by R by I0, okay, why I do that is, initially when I am switching on this switch out here, okay, so this capacitor acts like a short circuit because there is no charge accumulated at all. So what will be the moment I put this, the current in this circuit will be V by R. So this is I0, that is known as the initial current, or V by R is represented as I0. So I is equal to I0 into e to the power of minus T by RC. So this is a very, very important current equation of capacitor, which we need to remember. Okay, so if I see this equation, what happens if you see I put T is equal to 0, what happens? This term goes away. I is equal to I0. Okay, that means the moment I switch on this switch out here, okay, what will be the current? There is no value in the there is no capacitance, no voltage across the capacitance, because it is discharged state. So it is 0 here. So it will be V. The whole voltage is available across the resistance R, so the current will be V by R. So I0, that is I0 is nothing but V by R. So that current, and then subsequently as the current keeps flowing in this circuit, the capacitor will get charged to V. So once the capacitor gets charged to V, current will become a 0, because this is V, this is V. So if you see that these two potentials oppose each other, and there will be no current can pass through this resistance R. So in this equation, if I put it as infinity, okay, t is equal to infinity, so this will become 0. So at t is equal to infinity, I is equal to 0, and at t is equal to 0, it will be V divided by R. So the current exponentially falls from V divided by R to 0, and the voltage is going to increase from 0 to V across the capacitor, and again in exponentially. Is that clear to all of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is the graph if you see here. Now if you see, if I put an R value, it's a small value. If I put, the capacitor will get charged at a fast rate. But if I put a large value of resistance, the capacitor will get charged slowly. It will take that much more time for it to get charged to V0. Okay. So that would be the response of the circuit. Okay, now if I can even write the equation for V from this, Q by C, and then if I do these manipulations mathematical manipulations, I'll get the equation for V as V into 1 minus e to the power of t by RC. Now here if you see, V is the terminal voltage which we are applying here. If I put t is equal to 0, this entire term will become 1. So 1 minus 1, it will become 0. So initially the capacitance voltage will be 0, and then as t increases, this voltage will slowly pick up and it will become V. Okay. So this is what. So the current will be. So these are the two equations whenever we are going to learn about capacitance and inductance. Okay, these are the two kind of equations which you will encounter. One will be exponential decay. Okay, exponential decay will be e to the power of minus t by RC. Okay, and this is exponential increase. Okay, that is 1 minus e to the power of minus t by RC. Okay, so whenever I write in this manner, so at t is equal to 0, it will be 0, and t is equal to infinity, it will be V. Here at t is equal to 0, it will be I0, and t is equal to infinity, it will be 0. So the current will go down exponentially, it will come to 0, whereas the voltage will grow exponentially and it will reach an VB. Okay. Now one thing which we will have to remember is, for all numerical problems, and in fact in all practical circuits, when t is equal to 5 RC, we assume that this voltage is almost reached a stable state where the capacitance is charged to full V. Okay, and we assume that at 5 RC the capacitance value is going to the current value is going to come to 0. Okay, so this 5 RC is the time constant will be defined by RC, and 5 times the time constant is generally considered the time required for this circuit to reach to a stable state where the current falls to 0 and the voltage across the capacitor reaches the applied voltage. Is it okay? Is it clear? What is 5 RC? RC is the time constant, right, and 5 RC is the time wherein this capacitor gets charged fully. Okay, although mathematically at t is equal to infinity, but it will reach to almost 99.8, which we considered as okay 100%. Is it okay with everybody? Okay. So this is what again it is shown. So the voltage equation across the capacitor is given by V into 1 minus e to the power of minus t by RC. So if you see, this RC is the time constant t. Okay, so at t is equal to 1 t, the output voltage will reach around 0.63 times the voltage. Okay, at 4 t it will reach around close to 0.95. Okay, and then at 5 t we consider it to be almost fully charged. Okay, similarly, and the current, it's the other way around. At 1 t, okay, the current will drop from I equal to V by RS to 0.37 times the I0 value. Okay, and at 5 t we assume that it is the current is almost 0. Okay, so that is how we generally design a circuit. If we want the circuit to be stabilized at 5t, then we select the RC in such a way so that at 5t it is getting fully charged. Okay, so that's the design. Whenever we design, we assume 5 RC is the time required for this system to get into a stable state. Okay, so these are various time constants. So at 0.5 times the time constant, here the time constant is RC. So 0.5 times RC, the voltage would reach to 39.3 and current will reach to 60.7%, right? At 4t it reaches up to 98.2% the voltage, and current will be only 1.8% of the original current, okay, starting current, whereas at 5t it is 99.3%. okay, this we assume to be 100%, and the current will be merely 0.7%. okay. So for all numerical problems, okay, when I say if the problem says, okay, find out the time for the capacitor to get fully charged, please don't write t is equal to infinity. Okay, because we will take for 5t we will assume the capacitor is fully charged. Okay, theoretically you can say, okay, t is equal to infinity, but for all practical purpose, for 5t we will assume that circuit has come to a stable state. Okay. Now suppose I am putting an instead of a voltage source, I am putting a current source, and there is an resistance out here. If I close this switch, what happens? Now I can again write this current I is equal to dq by dt, which dq by dt for a capacitor I can write by dvc by dt, c into dvc by dt, that is okay. Then I just take Vc terms here and dt terms here, and then integrate. I get Vc is equal to 1 by C into T. Okay, what does it indicate? If I am going to put a current source here, okay, the continuously with time linearly the voltage can go up to infinity. Okay, but practically this won't happen, because this current source cannot generate that kind of voltages itself, right? So it will go and get saturated at the max permissible for a practical circuit. But for theoretical purpose, I can say that if I close this with as the time keeps increasing, the voltage will keep increasing. Okay, but whereas for if I put a practical current source, the current source is being powered by some DC voltage, right? Says the current source is of 12 volt or something, then around 11 point something, it won't go beyond that, this voltage. Okay, so it will get saturated there. It is known as the voltage source getting saturated. So in practical circuits that will get saturated, but theoretically if I am giving an current source into a capacitor, then the voltage will keep increasing and it will go to infinity. Okay. So once the capacitor is charged, if I switch it on and if I try to connect a resistor, whatever is the charge which is stored in the capacitor, okay, that get dissipated in R, okay, in the resistance. Okay, now the current will again exponentially fall down to 0. So the equation will be given by I is equal to I0 into e to the power of minus t by RC. Okay, where I0 will be again the initial capacitance voltage divided by R, and similarly the voltage across the capacitor, in this case both the current as well as the voltage will exponentially fall following this equation e to the power of minus t by RC. Okay. So here please understand the terms which is being terminology which is being used. Okay, the power gets dissipated across R. Okay, because whenever the current is flowing through the resistance R, it cannot be recovered back. Okay, that will get dissipated. So that is why we call it dissipated, that is irrecoverable. So I square R, heat will be generated. Whereas in a capacitor, while charging, the charge gets accumulated into the capacitor. Okay, that doesn't get destroyed, it is available there, and subsequently we are utilizing the same energy here. So the capacitor never gets heated up. Okay, so that is only storing energy and delivering energy in the circuit, and depending on how we connect it into the circuit. Okay, it absorbs energy, and when required it can give back energy to the circuit. Okay, whereas resistances, they will only dissipate energy in the form of heat. Okay, they will just consume away the energy. Okay, so that is to be understood and remembered. Okay, then okay, note that the only variable here is an T. Okay, so this is now what happens when I connect a few capacitors in series to an voltage source. So if you see here, there are three capacitors which are connected in series to a voltage source. So when I connected series, there is certain amount of charge which gets deposited on the upper plate of the capacitor C1. So obviously same amount of charge in the with the negative polarity gets deposited on the other side of the plate. Okay, since these two are interconnected, you will find again the same amount of charge. These charges cannot be different because they are interconnected. So all the three capacitors will have the same amount of charge which are connected in this particular, because they are connected in series. So this is minus, this has to be plus Q. It can't have some other value of Q because they are connected in series. So if I write now V1 is equal to Q divided by C1, here Q is same, Q divided by C2 and Q divided by C3, and if I add these three voltages, okay, V1 plus V2 plus V3, I can take Q common, so 1 by C1, 1 by C2, 1 by C3, and these three voltages together I can indicate it by the applied voltage V. So if I equate this with an equivalent capacitance Q by C, I can write 1 by C is equal to C1 plus C1, 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3 is equal to 1 by C. That means if I are going to add capacitances in series, the net capacitance is going to decrease. Okay, so you got to this is like a series capacitance is equivalent to like what we did for a parallel resistance. Okay, so the net capacitance actually decreases. Okay, so so you generally don't try to connect capacitances in series until but still, when do we connect capacitances in series is suppose each capacitance will be rated for certain voltage applications, right? Suppose I want an 100 microfarad which can take 220 volt power supply or 400 volt power supply, but I have the capacitance ratings which is available as only of 100 volt. Beyond 100 volt, if you apply, the capacitance will get ruptured. Okay, so in that case, if I have to generate and say no, you have to restrict the voltages across these capacitors, in that case I connect it in series. Then obviously the total net voltage across these capacitors, they will get divided like in the case of series resistance. So the voltage, so that is how I can use lower voltage capacitors for high voltage applications by connecting them in series. Okay, but then the net capacitance will come down, so you will have to accordingly think of putting higher value of capacitance to get total net required capacitance. Okay, so is that understood, everybody? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now similarly we can have a parallel capacitance. Now when we connect parallel, the voltage remains same here on all the three. Okay, the capacitance are different. So if the voltage has to remain same and the capacitance are different, then only variable which can happen is the charge. So depending on the capacitance, the charge accumulated, capacitance of these capacitors, the charge accumulated on these three capacitors will be different. So Q1, Q2, Q3 will be different. So if I add these three, it will be C1, C2, C3, and V is same in this case, and I take V common. Now if I am going to represent, if I have to represent an equivalent capacitance which holds the same amount of charge, then I can call it Q is equal to CV. And then if I equate these two equations, I will get C is equal to C1 plus C2 plus C3. So effectively, whenever I have to increase the net capacitance of a circuit, okay, in that case I can keep adding parallel capacitors. Okay, if I add parallel capacitors, okay, the total amount of capacitance will increase. Okay, so suppose I want an 1000 microfarad capacitance, I can use an 500 micro capacitance in parallel with a 250 and in parallel with another 250. So you can add up those capacitance. So generally we'll see the bigger capacitance will be required in certain circuits and for designs like damping the power supply and all. So in those applications we generally try to have big capacitance parallel to each other to realize a very huge capacitance. So this is known as parallel capacitances. Okay, so if you see with respect to resistors, okay, series connections R1 plus R2 plus R3 it is, whereas in capacitance it will be 1 by C1 plus 1 by C2 plus 1 by C3 is equal to 1 by C, and for parallel capacitance C is equal to C1 plus C2. So this is exactly the opposite with respect to the resistors. Okay, and now another important thing which we need to know is energy stored in a capacitor. Okay, what happens, how much is the energy which gets stored in this capacitor when we switch on this supply. Okay, so if say VC, okay, VC is the capacitance voltage. Okay, what is energy? Energy is an integration of power, right? So if you see what is power, and V into an I, right? So if you see the CdV, okay, this is the integration of the current and voltage. Okay, so if you integrate this from 0 to V, okay, so you get half Vc square C. So this is the amount of charge energy which gets stored. Okay, energy is nothing but integration of power. Okay, now here the capacitance is getting charged from 0 to V. So 0 to V we integrate, and this is the voltage and this is the current. So current is Q is CV, right? So so dQ by dt will be differentiating the to get the current. So we have written C into dVc. That's all. So we get the energy which is stored as half V square C. Okay, now if you try to find out what is the energy which is dissipated from the source. Okay, in this case, if it is this kind of same integration, here Vc was changing, like the capacitor was changing. So the current as well as Vc both were variable. Now in this case, if you do a similar integration, here the current is going to change, but the voltage remains same, right? So VDD and 0 to T I dt. Okay, if you integrate that, integration of I dt is what? It is only the total amount of charge which has moved out of from this. That is the total amount of charge which has got accumulated in this capacitor. Now that is QCL, and if I again substitute it with VDD by VDD into CL, so I will get VDD square CL. Okay, so if you see what has happened is the total amount of energy which has got stored in the capacitor is half V square C. Okay, okay, this you can put in a load CL here. Okay, the CL. Okay, and what is the energy consumed from the power source is VDD square into CL. So what about the rest of the half VCC square CL energy? Somewhere it has it has to match, right? So while charging of this capacitor, half VDD square CL energy gets dissipated as heat in this resistance. Is this aspect clear? This is extremely important for you when you are designing circuits and all, right, to know where the power gets consumed as heat and where it is getting stored, so that you can select the appropriate wattage of resistances in the circuit. Okay, is this understood? The energy stored in the
Yes, sir.
capacitor
Yes, sir.
is half Vc square CL, right? The energy which is consumed from the power source will be VDD square CL, and rest of the half of that energy gets dissipated as heat in this resistor when we switch on this circuit. Okay, so that is very important to note. Okay, now this energy is available here when I am switching it on, and suppose in a circuit, now after that I want to switch it on. Now what happens is, whatever is the charge which was available here, and that energy half V square, when you put, the current will flow into this resistance, right? So that energy will again get dissipated as heat, because this, now this energy has got dissipated. So has the charge in the capacitance has to come to 0 after 5t, right? So that, but that energy cannot be created or destroyed, right? That is the law of conservation of energy. So what happens to that energy? It gets dissipated as heat in the resistance. Okay, so this is what it happens in this particular circuit. Okay, so there are certain applications of capacitors. One is energy storage. Okay, that is very clear to you all as of now. Power conditioning, that is the ripples of the power supply. When we make rectifiers and all, the ripples can be eliminated by using capacitor. So I will demonstrate this aspect through an simulation. Okay, we also use for RF coupling and decoupling applications, and low pass, high pass filters, oscillators, noise filters. So these things presently you may not be able to appreciate it, but once we learn about AC circuits, and I will try and cover these things. So energy storage is clear. Power conditioning, I am going to demonstrate it to you. Okay. This is one small video. Let me explain you what happens, how is the energy stored in the capacitor. What I have done is, I have taken a voltage source, and there is a switch here. The initially the capacitor voltage across the capacitor is 0. I have put one resistance out here, and there is an LED out here, and I have put a voltmeter which reads the voltage across this capacitor. Okay, so I am going to switch this switch to on position, so as to enable the charging of this capacitor. So if I put it here, this capacitor is going to get charged through this resistor, and we will see how, what is the timeline where it gets charged. Presently it's showing an 0 ampere out here. So let me just switch it on, and yeah. So I have switched it on. Now if you see, the voltage across the capacitor is slowly increasing out here. Okay, it will keep rising up in an exponential manner, and now the current flows from here, and this capacitance voltage is also slowly increasing. Okay, now it will increase, and then this is the 4 volt which I have applied out here. So after around 5t, if you see, we can assume it has already reached 4. Okay, after 5t. Now what is the difference? If you see here the scale, 3.92, 3.96, 3.97. So it's only changing in decimals. So after 5t, we can assume this capacitor is fully charged. Okay, now if I switch this, now throw this switch down. Now if you see here, now whatever is the stored energy, okay, that can be used to drive this resistance. Again the voltage will fall exponentially, right? Now the rate at which the capacitor got charged depends on the value of the RC. This is a different resistance, and along with this capacitance, so that RC will define the time constant for charging. Whereas when I put it down out here, okay, the discharge rate will again be defined by this 90 ohms which is connected here, and also the forward resistance of this LED. Okay, so that is how. So is this thing clear to all of you, how the energy gets stored and how we can utilize it in a circuit? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Sir.
So let me now show you some small simulations, so that you are further clear about what is happening. Okay, Now here I have a power supply source and I have put a diode. So the voltage, this is like a half wave rectification. I am interested in obtaining an DC signal out here. So I am given a signal out, I have given a sinusoidal signal here. Like commercial supply also we have 230 volt AC signals, right? But whereas our laptops and most of our devices, they require DC. So inside your laptop charger is nothing but a kind of regular AC to DC converter, also with regulation. So regulation aspect we'll see later, but presently we are just will concentrate on making this AC into DC. So if I do an simulation out here, and if I see here, so you see the output voltage, only the positive cycle is being sent out here. So you have lot of fluctuations. This is not a good DC value out here. But here in this case, in the second circuit, and I have connected a capacitance also in series. So if I try to plot that, if you see, this is almost an straight line out here. Right. So you get an why? Because during the positive cycle the capacitance is getting charged, and when this during the negative cycle this source is not available, but this capacitance has got adequate charge available, so that will keep giving the same voltage to the resistance. Okay. Now so in case this resistance value, so if I have say only 1K resistance value, so instead of 10K, now if I do the simulation, you can see this voltage is now falling little bit, because you are consuming more power during charging. When during the positive cycle it's okay, the power supply source is giving and this capacitance is getting charged, but during the negative cycle you are drawing more current from this capacitance. Okay, so hence this value, the voltage won't remain constant, it will slightly start, because this has got a limited charge, right? So that will ultimately fall. So if I further increase this, say instead of 1K, if I put 100, just 100 ohms, okay, and then I do the simulation, you will see the voltage is not, this circuit is not able to maintain these circuits. Okay, in that case, what is the solution? The solution is to just to have use an larger capacitor. Okay, so instead of 1000 micro, I can use 10,000 micro. So if I do that, if you see that here now it is stable, now this is able to hold more charge. Okay, but then when you are doing that, so initially for this capacitance to get charged fully, it might take a longer time, because I have put 10,000 micro farad. So in each cycle the amount of charge which gets deposited will be limited, so it will take more time for it to get stabilized. But once it gets stabilized, you will have a constant DC here. So is this circuit understood? What is the application of a capacitor? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Good, Vedant. Okay. So let me show you one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Let me show you one more small simulation. Okay, here what I have done is this is an source, a power supply source. Okay, I am going to switch it on first. So this capacitor is going to get charged through this resistor, and then I am going to switch off this and switch on this out here. So whatever is getting charged, that will get now that will drive this 10K ohm. Okay, so I am going to do a simulation. So let me plot this signal. So this is a square signal, and I am going to plot this signal, right? So so they are exactly 180 degrees. So initially this is switched on, and this is off. Okay, and then this is switched on. When this is switched on, this is off. That means I am charging the capacitor and then discharging it. Now let me plot the voltage across the capacitor. So if you see, this is the red line which is shown. So when the input supply is connected, you have this red line, capacitor voltage being it is being charged to 10 volt, and then when I am connecting, removing that, switching off this power supply and switching on this load out here, then it is getting discharged out here. Okay, so you will find the capacitor is getting charged and discharged. Okay, now what is no, more no, interesting is what is the power which will be consumed from here. Okay, what will be the power? Say this, if this is P, what will be the power of no, in R1? It will be P by 2, right? Correct. We said VCC square CL is the power. Okay, and this will be no, the power energy will be half, so obviously the power also will be half. So this will
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
so half the power. Okay, so the power which will be of power of R1 will be half of that of power of this source, and the power of capacitance will be 0, and then again the power of this resistance will be half of this, right? So that is what we are interested in. So let's plot that. So let me close this window and run it once again, and now I am going to plot all the powers. Okay, this is the power of the source. Okay, this is the power of the source. Okay, now so it says minus 995 microwatt. Okay, it says minus because this particular software, if this is giving power, that's why it's negative. Okay, if it is consuming power, it will be positive. So the power which is being supplied by this source is 995 microwatt. Similarly, I am going to plot the power of this resistance. Okay, so this was 995, so I should get half of that here, right? So yeah, so it is around 493. So this is half the power is available here. Now if I plot the power of the capacitor again out here, right?
Sir, can you, sir, how is it 493, sir? It is 497.5.
It will be no, almost half, right? It is around
Achha, near.
900, nearly half. Okay,
Yes, sir.
a little bit of these things, because if you see capacitor also, if I see, it is almost 0 out here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it is like this minus 1.9. So that will be some simulation, because we are not taking the full, we are limiting this time to 4 nano. So all the switchings has not been taken into consideration. Okay, if you take a large time, then it will be okay. Okay, but you can't see the waveforms; it will be cluttered. Similarly, if I do the power of this resistance. Okay, this is the power of that resistance. If I click here, that will be again 477. Okay, that is almost half of that. So if you see the now power is you get power in watts. Okay, that is depends on the frequency of switching also. Okay, the energy is VCC square CL into R. Okay, VCC square CL for this source. Okay, the power will be into frequency. Okay, here I have taken 1 hertz. Okay, similarly here the energy and power, you understand the relations. Okay, the energy is to be multiplied by the frequency to get the power. Okay, so here you will see this is again multiplied by, if you multiply it by the frequency, you are getting the power. So you see the total energy here, it is getting the zero power in the capacitance. Okay, 50% of the power is being is being stored into this capacitor and getting dissipated as heat in R1, and subsequently that 50% is again getting dissipated in R2 resistance out here, right? So this is all about capacitance. Then next class we will see about inductors. Okay, so once we understand the theory about inductors in the next class, and in the following class we will take RLC first order circuits. Okay, so that's all for today. Hope you understood a little bit about capacitors. Okay.
Sir, what
Yes,
is the
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, tell me. Yeah, somebody had a doubt.
sir, what is the name of the software?
This I am using LT Spice. Okay, if you are wanting to learn about LT Spice and do simulations, if you go to my web page, there are several. If you go to the digital design, are you studying digital design? No, next semester you will do.
No, sir.
Okay,
Next
Yes,
semester.
sir. Next semester.
yeah,
Next
but
year, sir.
okay.
Sorry, next year, next year.
Okay, so if you go to my web page, you will have all the basics about LT Spice in the digital design I have given. Okay, so if you take the lab one, okay, lab one in digital design. Okay, you go to the digital design course and then you go to the lab one video. That will give you all explanation about how to use LT Spice, where to download, where to get related files,
Udhar,
and
udhar.
other things. So you can do that. Okay. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.